What's up, Chef? In this video, I'm going to share with you how to make a lot of money with your cooking show through the sponsorship model. This is a question that I get from people all the time. How do I get sponsors for my cooking show? And the first question I always ask in return is, well, do you actually have a cooking show? And most often the answer is no. So step one is you got to actually have a cooking show because nobody's going to pay you money for a show that doesn't exist. You want sponsors for your cooking show? You got to have a cooking show. Okay. So with that out of the way, how do you make money through sponsorships? This book right here from a guy named Justin Moore is the most fantastic resource that you can possibly get. This is the best definitive resource that you can get on how to make money through sponsorships. The book is Sponsor Magnet. It's by Justin Moore. I don't know Justin, never met him, never talked to him. I have no affiliation with Justin or this book, but I can enthusiastically recommend it because I've read this book and he leaves nothing out. Everything you need to know to make money with your cooking show is in that book. It's actually a book written for anybody, any general creators of any type, people who create content on social media. But in this video, I'm going to focus specifically on chefs using sponsorships for a cooking show because everything that's in that book, it really applies. It's 100 times easier for you as a chef than different types of content creators. And I'll explain that later. But understand that as a chef, you have superpowers on the internet. You can create a cooking show that people will tune into and watch every single week. And it's just so much easier than what you're currently doing. If you're a professional chef working in commercial kitchens, the effort, the work that it takes to be successful with a cooking show is not even 10% of what you're currently doing. So the reason I'm making this video and really my channel overall is because I want you to understand that chef life does not have to be a miserable life. You have the ability to take your culinary skills online and teach and create a much better life for yourself than what you're probably experiencing in a commercial kitchen, because that's just a very hard life. And so that's what we're going to talk about in this video, how you can use sponsorships to make as much money as you want to make with your cooking show. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to use some clips from Justin on various podcast appearances, and he's going to share some insights, and then I'm going to come back and explain to you how we can translate that directly to you and your cooking show. So without any further ado, here's Justin.
One of my favorite quotes in the book, Justin, is it says, you say, remember, don't be a creator, influencer, or entrepreneur, be a consultant. So how does that shift of thinking help land better brand deals?
It's one of the most frequent questions I get from especially smaller creators who are people who are at the outset of their journey is they're looking at the social media landscape and it feels so saturated, right? It's like, how can I stand out in 2025? There's all these other people out there on the internet. And especially if you are starting to engage and interact with brands, it feels like, well, who am I to try to negotiate or even ask for money at all? Because it seems like there's this endless line of people behind me who are willing to accept the free thing or willing to do it for very cheap. And so if that is, if the only value proposition that you feel you have is your reach or your audience size, then yes, of course, you're going to be commoditized, right? They're going to look at you as another influencer, another creator who has, however many, 1,000 followers on the internet. And you're kind of indistinguishable from anyone else that they're talking with. And so one of the central themes of my book is, how do you differentiate yourself? And it's not just about the views or the kind of vanity metrics, the views, the engagement, the comments, the reach, the followers, the downloads, whatever platform you're on. It's not just about that. It's been my experience having done, over 500 deals personally with my wife and making over $5 million doing it. It's been one of our primary revenue streams. It's been our experience that brands value a lot of other types of things that have nothing to do with the high level social media metrics. Really, it comes down to, at the end of the day, it's your professionalism, it's your timeliness, it's how nice you are when they send you the talking points of like, hey, here's the kind of the sound bites that we need in this video. We hit them every time with the plum. When they come back to us with feedback and they're like, hey, can you make some small edits here? We're like, sure. We don't go, how dare you violate my creative genius, which is what a lot of creators do, candidly. I ran this agency and I have that experience. And so really at the end of the day, I hope that this is like an exciting prospect for creators who might be on the up and up, realizing like, wow, there's kind of these intangibles that if I can get good at just being professional and frankly nice, that sponsorships might be for me as well.
So I hope you understood what Justin said there. What he's breaking down is how really easy it is, how simple and easy it is to be successful with sponsorships. It really boils down to just being professional, which has become a rare skill these days. Unfortunately, so many people just have no concept of what professionalism is. And I want you to understand this from the perspective of the brand and who my audience is. Typically, I'm working with Gen X or above. These are people who are 40 years and up, usually 50 years and up. And so I want you to understand that the way you came up and the way things are done now are different. The work ethic, and many of you have experienced this with your employers. You actually hire people. And I know from working with so many chefs that the labor issue is a real issue right now. Finding quality people who will show up consistently and do the job and do it professionally, this is a real problem. That's not just a problem for you, that's a problem across the board. So imagine you're the person at these various big brands who's responsible for going out and finding creators to work with. A lot of times the people who they're having to work with are really young people who probably have never had a real job, because we're in a time where these kids are able to get good at social media in high school. This is something that existed from when they were very young. And so by the time they're at high school level, they can actually have created a social media presence that can make them a lot of money. And so they can reach out to brands, and brands can reach out to them. And the brands have to work with these young people who've never actually had a real job. They've never worked any kind of corporate job or any kind of regular job where you would learn those professionalism skills, the skills that you learned by coming up through the ranks, starting out wherever you started, and having to work your way up. We have an economy where it's possible to be good on social media, good enough to make a lot of money from social media without ever having had a real job. So where would these folks learn basic professionalism? They've never worked in any type of office environment or any type of corporate environment. They've never gone through a trade school or had any kind of apprenticeship. They just learn how to do some stuff on social media, and then they're good at doing whatever they do, just being themselves. And now they're able to make money with that. And so now when it comes time to partner with these brands, they actually don't have basic professionalism as part of their toolkit. They just don't know how to conduct themselves. And these are the folks who these brands have to work with. Well, here comes you with your decades of experience doing whatever you've done on your journey, and now you're where you are. You actually know how to conduct yourself as a professional. You actually know that it's not all about you and what you want. It's about we're coming together in a partnership to make money. How can you show up best to make sure that everybody wins? Everybody who comes to the table wins. How do you make sure that your partner in this sponsorship partnership, how do you make sure that they get what they need? How do you be easy to work with? How do you be somebody who they would want to contact again and continue that relationship? That's what Justin was talking about there. So many of these folks who are really good at social media are not good at basic professionalism. They're difficult to work with. And if you show up being simply a professional, that's really how a measure of how low the bar is for success these days. If you can just simply show up and be professional, basic professionalism, that's going to make you so much more attractive than other folks. Somebody can have way more followers than you, and you're more attractive to work with because they know what they're going to get from you. You're going to be easy to work with. You're going to help them look good in front of their boss, because remember, this person who you're dealing with, they're part of a big corporation. They got a manager, their manager's got a boss, and that person's got a boss. Everybody's got to look good going up the chain. and you understand that. You've been in those types of environments. You know what it's like to have to, work with somebody to produce something. And now you got to pass that up the chain, and hopefully you look good in the process. Having been in those types of environments and understanding that, you know how to be a good partner in that. And a lot of people just don't. So understand that being successful with sponsorships at a foundational level is really just about being professional. There's really not much to it at all. And if you simply focus on being professional and being the easy person to work with, that's going to bring you a lot of money. So how do you get started with sponsorships? I'm going to bring Justin back to give you some insights on how to get started with sponsorships. And then I'm going to come back and we'll talk about how to do that specifically with your cooking show.
And going back to the last thing that I mentioned about content repurposing services, this is probably where I would start. In fact, this is what I talk about in my book, Sponsor Magnet, is I talk about something in here called the sponsorship continuum, which is when you're in the earliest stages of your creator journey. You should not be reaching out to brands and be like, hey, let me talk about you on my platform. Again, they're going to take one look and be like, I don't really think that's going to be a very effective method for us to achieve our business outcomes. The reason is just again, put your hat on. Imagine you're the sponsor. Imagine that you're a big brand. Let's say that they're spending $10 million, $20 million on marketing in a given calendar year, which to a lot of brands is like a real thing. Sometimes, like Ford spent $2 billion last year. I think it was, or maybe it was 2 years ago, $2 billion on advertising. Do you think it's going to be an effective and efficient use of their time to go out there and forge $500,000 partnerships with people? No, that does not make sense to them. That's a very bad use of their time. They need to be spending $1 million here, $2 million here. They're spending $2 billion. That is $2,000 million. Do we have any conception of how much money that is and how tricky it is to deploy that amount of marketing capital? So your pitch when you reach out to very large brands is not that. It's let me help you in other ways move the needle. And again, you're probably not going to be wanting to reach out to the Fords of the world. You're going to reach out to maybe regional, local, hyper-local brands, helping, they've got the $5,000, they've got the $3,000 marketing budget to drive foot traffic into their location. That's going to be you're going to have a much, much higher success rate trying to close brands in that model where you're creating strategies for them, consulting for them, versus talking about them on your platform. And again, once you grow, then yeah, of course you can start talking about the brands and pitching to them that, hey, let me talk about you on my platforms, but that's not what you talk about in the beginning.
So starting with local businesses, starting local is something that I've promoted in previous videos, and I'll explain it again here. Start local. You're not going to start out with these huge, massive brands that are spending billions of dollars a year on advertising. You're just not there yet, but you can start local. That can be with any kind of local business that you want to work with. It could be your local farmers. It could be whoever. You can do different types of sponsorships. You can do clothing sponsorships. If there's a local clothing, a local business owner who makes clothes, they can sponsor your show by providing clothes. So particularly for the ladies, so that you always look different on camera. If you want to, you guys, the outfits is a thing. I get it. So instead of you spending a whole bunch of money on wardrobe, you can work with a local clothing manufacturer, a clothing producer, and they provide outfits. You wear it for your show, then you give it back. And that's a clothing sponsorship. No money exchanged hands, but you got value and they got value. Of course, you're going to promote their business during your show. There can be other small businesses that make home goods products, candles, soap, etc. Local farmers, people who you can do a sponsorship where no money changes hands. That's how you can get started at a very early level. And then as you continue with your show, you actually have more episodes under your belt. Now you have an opportunity to charge for sponsorships because you've built something that is actually worth paying for. And what I want you to understand when I'm talking about a cooking show, I'm talking about a full length cooking show on YouTube. What that means is you have a cooking show on TV. And here's some statistics that you may or may not be aware of. YouTube is the number one TV streaming service in US households. Netflix is second place. YouTube is number one. More people are watching YouTube on their television than any other streaming service that's out there. So if you have a cooking show on YouTube, you have a cooking show on TV, and that's a very attractive marketing platform for companies of all sizes. But while you're small, work with small people. So you have various types of businesses who are already spending money on advertising, local businesses to you that are already spending money on advertising. Once you've built a small following, a small local following with your cooking show, now you can reach out to those folks for sponsorships. So who are we talking about? Real estate agents, for example, lawyers, local lawyers, accountants, car dealers. You know what I'm saying? These are all types of businesses that are already spending money on advertising. Why wouldn't they spend money with you? You have the ability to put their businesses on TV in a way that they could never do themselves. As a chef, when I explained earlier that chefs have superpowers on the internet, this is what I'm talking about. You can stand in your home kitchen and create a show that people will watch every single week on their big screen TV. A lawyer is going to have a hard time doing that, creating such a show. An accountant would have a hard time doing that. An insurance agent would have a real hard time doing that. But as a chef, you can just stand in your kitchen and teach people how to cook something. And now you have a TV show that people are tuning into, particularly your local audience. And so that makes that an attractive advertising platform for those real estate agents, for those insurance agents, for the accountants, the financial planners, anybody you can think of who you would like to work with a TV show. You have an advertising platform that is attractive to those people. And so that's at the beginning level. So we started with basically a barter where you're trading, somebody's providing a product that you don't have to pay for, but you're showcasing it on your show. So there's benefit for you and there's benefit for them. Then the next level up is you're charging for sponsorships with these local businesses that are already spending money on advertising. Now you have a TV show that is attractive to them to spend money on. And now you've put yourself in a position where you can start reaching out to the larger brands. Let's start just in the food industry, for example. McCormick spends $200 million per year on advertising. $200 million per year. You can position yourself to be a part of that ad spend by reaching out using the techniques that Justin teaches you in this book. You can reach out to McCormick and say, hey, I use your product. I've been a fan of your products, and everybody's got McCormick spices in their house, and your mama and your grandmama had them too. So you now have a cooking show that is a natural advertising platform for McCormick spices. You have a cooking show on TV. That's something they might be interested in. And it's possible that you're not big enough for them yet. And that's fine, because there's this thing called user generated content, which Justin explains in the book. And basically, they're not paying you to get access to your viewers. They can pay you because you might have, let's say you got 1,000 followers. That's nothing. And McCormick's got 1 million. Well, McCormick makes spices. McCormick doesn't make content. They don't make cooking videos. So you can have an arrangement with McCormick where you're creating sponsored content. You're making cooking videos where you're featuring their products and speaking about them prominently, hitting all their talking points. And you don't put that content on your channel. They put it on theirs. So now they're putting your talent that they don't have your talent. They got spices, but they don't have your talent. So you're bringing that talent that you bring to your cooking show and putting it on their platform. So now they have a cooking show on their platform where you're showcasing their products and putting it in front of their huge audience. They don't have to go through all of the effort to actually create a cooking show. They just pay you to do it. That's just another way that you can work with these large brands where it's not about how big you are. It's really about how talented you are and your willingness to do the work to establish those relationships, those win-win relationships, so that these companies know who you are and you guys can make money together. And this is something that you can do with companies of all sizes. Let's look at some other ones. Procter and Gamble spends $8 billion, billion with a B, on advertising every single year. Procter and Gamble has so many products that there's absolutely some Procter and Gamble products in your home. You're using this stuff because it's just this huge multinational company. $8 billion a year they spend on advertising. You can use your cooking show to position yourself to be a part of that ad spend. Unilever, another multinational company, $7 billion a year on ad spend. $7 billion every single year. That's a lot of money. How do you get some of that money? Justin is teaching you right here in his book. He lays it all out. He leaves nothing out. L'Oreal, for the ladies. Of course, you're going to get your makeup done, whether you're doing it yourself or you hire somebody else to do it for you when you record your cooking show. L'Oreal spends $10 billion per year on advertising. Now imagine you have a cooking show where you're sponsored by L'Oreal and they're putting that show on their platform just to showcase this is just another way that L'Oreal makes people's lives better with their makeup products and whatever the message is, and they're using your cooking show to deliver that message. That's how this works. You pitch that idea to them, you take a look, you do the research, which Justin teaches you how to do in Sponsor Magnet. You do the research on the advertising campaigns that this company is working on, the initiatives, the products that they're trying to promote, what messaging they're trying to get out right now. And then you reach out to them with a custom pitch, something that specifically addresses what they're already trying to accomplish. And that's how you get their attention. They're trying to sell products. They're spending $10 billion per year to sell products. If you present yourself professionally, going back to the lesson that we had from the very beginning, if you present yourself professionally with an understanding of what they're trying to accomplish and a plan for how you're going to help them do what they're already trying to do, this is how you get an opportunity to work with these companies. And if you get your foot in the door and you're easy to work with, they're going to keep coming back to you because the person at L'Oreal or whatever company who's in charge of, these brand partnerships with various creators, everybody wants their job to be as easy as possible. So if they find somebody who's easy to work with and is producing the results that they need, you're going to get paid every year. They're going to just keep coming back to you and designing advertising campaigns specifically for you because you're somebody who's easy to work with and helping them make money. Justin mentioned he mentioned Ford spending $2 billion a year. That's another example. I want you guys to think, like I was saying with L'Oreal and with Procter and Gamble and Unilever and now Ford, think out of the box. Sponsorship does not mean just food brands. Again, you have a cooking show on TV. YouTube is the number one TV streaming service in US households. So you have a cooking show on TV. You can advertise anything on that. So with Ford, for example, for you caterers, maybe you use a Ford pickup truck as part of your catering business. You may already be doing this. Maybe you haul out a big smoker or, whatever equipment and such that you use. You may already be using a Ford vehicle. You could make a video where you're teaching people how to tailgate, do a gourmet tailgate out of the back of a pickup truck. That's, something that you can have fun with, and you can do this anywhere. You can do this in your backyard if you wanted to. Or Ford has a line of electric vehicles. They have the F-150 Lightning that has the onboard power. So you can actually power your whole house off of a F-150 Lightning. You can, and then they also have the gas powered hybrid trucks that have onboard power as well. So what type of food experience can you deliver out of the back of a pickup truck? Because you got onboard power. You can plug in whatever you need to plug in. Like, make that video and just have fun with it. What kind of tailgating experience can you do with a truck that provides electricity? They also have those. The Bronco is a brand of a vehicle line that they brought back in recent years for the outdoor adventure. So, what type of gourmet kitchen cooking experience can you deliver out of the back of a Bronco? Like, what kind of field kitchen could you set up and just show people how to go out into the woods and have a great weekend and not just be eating hot dogs and hamburgers or trail mix? Like, what kind of what kind of food experience could you deliver out in the woods using a Ford Bronco? These are just things that are just some ideas. Like, there's really no limit to what you could do. The only limits are your creativity and your work ethic, because the creativity, everybody's got ideas, but the work ethic is the part where you separate yourself and make money. Everybody's got ideas, but very few people are actually willing to put the work in to turn those ideas into something real that will make money for themselves and for other people. So you can dream about a cooking show all you want, but the people who actually do the work to create a cooking show and then do the work to reach out to sponsors, local sponsors, large corporations, and make a pitch about how we can work together and make money together, the people who are willing to do that work, they can pretty much write their own ticket. And there's no reason that can't be you. So again, I want you to understand that a chef's life doesn't have to be a miserable life. Working in a commercial kitchen is not the only way that you can make money with your culinary skills. You can earn a fantastic living by working out of your home kitchen and simply working with sponsors. There are other ways to make money, but working with sponsors is one way that we're focusing on in this video. And so I just want you to know that you have options. So now we're going to take a look at how you can use a cooking show specifically on YouTube to make it easy for big brands to pay you. And I'm going to bring Justin back for a quick clip, and then we're going to come back and talk about it.
And so this is the structure of pitches that I suggest everyone do, because it's universal, regardless of the brand that you're trying to pitch, regardless of what the focus of your business is. Again, it's all focused around the brand. The STP is also very important. It's something I talk about in the beginning section of the book, and it's called the Surprising Transformative Promise. But what this is more like, Jeff, it's kind of like your one-liner, like your elevator pitch.
Gotcha.
And it's how you talk about yourself and your creator persona, your creator identity out there on the internet. Let me explain why this is important. So, so one of the things that I had to do when I ran an influencer marketing agency, and our client, one of our clients, which is like a big brand, comes to us and say, "Hey, Justin, here's $100K. We want to run an influencer campaign to spread the word about this campaign." And they say, go find us creators, go find us 10 people, 15 people, whatever that are going to be a good fit for us. And so what we would do is we would go out there and just start searching for people. And we would kind of kick the tires on them. We would go look at their profiles. We'd look at their blog. We'd look at their podcast. We just kind of would do this holistic analysis of people's platforms. And let me tell you, man, wow, it was so confusing sometimes when we would land on people's platforms and we just really wouldn't have a good sense of whether they were a good fit. We would use software tools sometimes to try to find them. So we'd say, oh, we're looking for a mommy blogger or a food creator or a lifestyle influencer or whatever the campaign was.
And you're paying like $10,000 for that, weren't you? It was expensive.
Yeah,
software.
I mean, some of these software tools were a lot of money to pay for, to kind of like slice and dice and look for creators and things like that. And so what these software tools do is they go out there and they scrape all these people's like social media platforms and put them into this giant database, basically. And so we would, on the surface, we would find someone's profile and, oh, they kind of look like they're a good fit. So we would click through, we would look at their profile, and then we would just like look a little bit more detailed. And it was just like, I don't think this person is a good fit. Here's a good example. I had a mom influencer, like a parenting influencer, come to me one time, and she was like, why am I not getting any food sponsorships? Because like food is a really big category for kind of family focused, creators to do partnerships. And I went and I looked at her profile, and there was not a single post featuring food. And so you think about me as an agency or as a brand, they land on that person's profile and they may check a few boxes. Oh, it's this person is the right age range. They've got kids and kind of the category, the age ranges that we want to target. But then they look at the profile and there's not a single post featuring food. And so the brand thinks, well, I guess this person's audience is not influenced by them when it comes to food. And so I'm not going to hire them. Right. And so a big part of having a kind of a harmony between alignment between how your creator identity and the actual content that you post is illustrating to the brand that the reason that people are following you is because and you may influence them to purchase certain categories of products, whether it's food, whether it's travel and hospitality, and they follow you for vacation ideas or whatever it is. And so this SCP process of kind of designing what is the reason that people are following you helps brands understand, okay, they're going to be a good fit to hire them.
So what Justin is talking about there is, how do you show up online? Are you making it easy for companies to determine that you're who they want to work with? YouTube is what I focus on. A cooking show on YouTube is what I focus on for professional chefs, because in my view, there's no better way to showcase your talent and create whatever kind of opportunities you want for yourself than with a weekly cooking show. You show up consistently, you show up professionally. You're delivering one episode a week, which is the methodology that I teach. One cooking video a week, that's 50 episodes a year of you showing up and presenting yourself exactly how you want to showcase yourself to the world. If you're willing to do that, you're making it very easy for a brand to determine whether or not who they want to work with, and that makes it easy for you to determine if they're who you want to work with. Let's look at Tabitha Brown, for example. She's an incredible example of just being herself. And when a brand works with Tabitha Brown, they know what they're getting. They're getting Tabitha Brown. You're going to work with Tab as she is, and if that's not what you want, go work with somebody else. Well, it will work the same way for you. You show up every week with your cooking show. Just be yourself. That's all you have to be. Showcase your talent. Teach the way you like to teach. Just be you, and that will create the opportunities that are right for you, because the opportunities that are right for the next person are not the right opportunities for you. And I want to take a second here to emphasize again the point of professionalism. I used to do social media reviews, and what I would see is a lot of chefs on Instagram, and their profile was just kind of all over the map, just like Justin shared. Your if you're serious about making money online, your social media platform needs to be focused on helping you make money online. You may need to have a separate Instagram account or separate whatever, where you can just be creative and do what you want to do. And I would encourage you to make that a private account. But your public account, the one that's representing your business, needs to be focused on your business, focused on the ideal client that you have in mind. You can't just be posting all kinds of random stuff. And this week you're talking about this, and next week you're talking about that, and different things from your personal life, and just random ideological stuff. And if you want your YouTube channel or your Instagram page or your TikTok to make you money, you need to be focused on being a professional, showing up as a professional, so that if a person comes along and they have $50,000 to spend to work with somebody, you look like the person who they want to work with. So show up consistently, show up professionally, and just do the work. These are very simple things. Like I said in the beginning, the bar is so low for what you have to do, because so many people just don't understand basic professionalism. If you just show up consistently delivering basic professionalism, that's going to separate you from so many folks. And for my Generation X audience, again, who I talk to, I want you to understand this, because this way of earning a living just by teaching, creating content online, this didn't exist back in the day when we were coming out of high school and going and entering the workforce. And so now you have a few decades of experience behind you, but you don't have any experience at all in what's called the creator economy. where you sit in front of a camera and share your expertise and get paid for it, or provide some entertainment and get paid for it. You are in a position with the knowledge and professional experience and life experience that you have where you can make a ton of money. You can make a fantastic living simply by sharing your expertise, and it takes way less work than what you're currently doing if you're a professional chef. If you're working in a commercial kitchen 70 hours a week or whatever, and many of these commercial kitchen environments are toxic environments, you know what I'm talking about. If you're able to do that, what it takes to be successful with a cooking show is so much less work, so much less hassle. It's going to be easy to you. You just got to learn how to do it. So if you want to learn how to do that, you want to learn how to start your own cooking show, I can help you do that. Use the link in the description box. You can join my cooking show accelerator. That's what it's here for. It doesn't cost anything to join. You do have to apply, but my cooking show accelerator is here to help you get your cooking show started and build it into a revenue generating business. Also, grab a copy of Justin's book, Sponsor Magnet. This teaches you sponsorships, which may be the only monetization method that you need. There are lots of different ways, so many different ways to monetize a cooking show. Sponsorship is just one, but there's so much money out here just in sponsorships. That might be the only thing you need to do. But again, to have sponsors for your cooking show, you got to first have a cooking show. So if you need help with that, let me know. If you need help with sponsorship, get Justin's book. He also has a coaching program that you can learn more about. Go to his website. I'll put a link in the description box to the various interviews that I used, the clips that I used in this video with Justin. But yeah, the overall message of this video is your chef life doesn't have to be a miserable life. You do not have to break down your body doing all of the physical demands of running a food business. You do not have to spend countless hours in a hot kitchen and away from your family, not spending enough time with them. You have skills that will deliver whatever kind of lifestyle you want to live. And you can do this from your home kitchen, delivering one video per week. It's just a matter of you deciding that you want change in your life and then taking the action to learn how to do it. Because people like Justin sharing all the knowledge right here, people like me sharing the knowledge, it really is about you making a decision that you want something better for yourself and then deciding to do the work. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next one.